Welcome to another episode of the Tower 26B Racer Podcast. I'm Joe Minsky here once again, Coach Gerry Rodriguez. Coach Gerry Rodriguez. Coach Gerry Rodriguez. I gotta give you a couple different takes there. Coach Gerry Rodriguez. Coach, how you doing?
Could you do that little toy boat thing you were doing earlier with us?
We do vocal warm-ups as a group before we come on. We go, unique New York, unique New York.
Well, you've already messed it up.
Unique New York, unique New York. Or say toy boat 10 times in a row. Toy boat, toy boat, toy boat, toy boat, toy boat, toy boat, toy boat. Emily, go.
Toy boat, toy boat, toy. I give up.
There you go.
Hey, I messed it up after 2 on the tryout. I mean, God, I'm glad you're running the show, not Emily or me.
Toy boat. Well, a lot like this episode is going to be focused on, you have to focus on the process, Gerry, and you have to focus on putting your emphasis in the right spot. Think about the T, and if you think about the T, toy boat, toy boat, toy boat, toy boat.
Toy boat, toy boat, toy boat, toy boat, toy boat, toy boat. I like it. Okay, we're ready.
Drop the T and you'll do it every time. But if you just let it go one into the other, you're never going to do it.
So we're live on Facebook. Half the audience already, but
everybody's out. No, you know what? They're probably coming in. They're like, thank God they're talking about something other than boring triathlon swimming once in a lifetime. But Emily, you're here too. Emily, how you doing?
I'm good, and I'm going to focus on that. Like we make our athletes focus on one-legged pedaling drills. You don't do it right the first time. I'll work on it next week. It's my time.
You're gonna be sitting there all night. Toy boat, toy boat, toy boat, toy boat. I love it. So hey, there's something in the. So we got a content-filled show here. A lot of good. It's the secret weapon to triathlon swimming. That's the title of this one. The secret weapon. The reason I say that, and I am amped up for this episode because something we've instituted since 2022 is making our athletes do this one thing at least once a week, and we've seen some drastic gains in their swimming. Because Gerry, as you know, what's the definition of insanity?
Yep, doing the same thing
and expecting
over and over and
results.
expecting a different result.
Exactly. I say that's the definition of stupid, right? So we change a little thing up. You can swim out all day long, but change a little thing up and you might see some results. And we've been seeing some drastic change in swimming by adding that one thing. So we're going to leave a little bit of a cliffhanger, if you will, as we get through my little banter into the show. We'll talk about what happened last episode, then we'll get into it. But there's something in the universe trying to keep me from doing these shows, Gerry, Emily. I don't know what the deal is. It's like we want to do it every single week. We're going to try to do it every Monday. Monday, what happens? My kid was born last Wednesday, and I'm up all night. Sunday to Monday. I'm in no shape for the energy I need for this show.
I mean, that's to be understood. I mean,
Yeah,
Monday, Wednesday.
My subtle way of telling you guys, the baby was born. Mason, 7 pounds, 14 ounces. Wednesday morning, 8:03. Everybody's healthy. Everybody's happy. It's exciting. Our house is just a bluster of activity right now.
Well, congratulations, man. It's great.
Yeah, it's fun.
I'm not sure if we want another lube in the world, but the female, your daughter was good the first round. Now we've got a baby boy lube.
Just wait.
We're in for trouble.
One thing
Hopefully
we're
I'll
going to
be
do
retired by then.
Coach Gerry is going to have him in the pool from year -1 onward. Something that Big Lube didn't do. Little Lube is going to be in the pool from -1 onward. And Little Lube is going to be doing what we're going to be doing in this episode. Because I have 2 cameras set up. We're good to go. Before we get to, and also keeping us from doing the episodes is right before we came on air, I dropped my computer, shattered it. It's gone. The thing is garbage. Luckily,
Just the screen is shattered.
The thing is garbage. So you know what? Taking donations, send it to Gerry's Venmo account. He'll forward it on to me, and we'll get myself a new computer. But I didn't make out too bad because we have the big MacBook here and the big Mac, and it's freaking 10 times better than the little one. So, but you know what? I said forget it. We got through that hookup. We got through that hiccup. We got through that hurdle, and we're on the better things. Agreed, Gerry? Can we have a good show here?
We're ready. You're ready. I mean,
fired up.
This is your show.
What did we talk about last episode? Do you remember?
Well, we had EK on and Kate, and we did we discussed. Am I right? The Norwegian experiment.
We got some really, really great feedback off that show. Emily, what was your thoughts on that one?
I thought it was great, very informative. I think EK added some good content and a lot to learn from. And just, it's all about patience, just got to keep doing what you're doing. Love the training, love the process.
But, coming out of that show, I said, I think Mexico was up in the charts for listening countries. Those guys, they're off the chart. Ireland jumped from like number 20 up to number 5 in our listening countries. Now, just like 2 weeks ago, we had Laura Fitzgerald join, probably about a month, 2 months ago now, Laura Fitzgerald joined our triathlon team, and she lives in Ireland. But I mean, could one person have that much of an impact? I mean, they jumped from way out of the top 20 in the number 5 overall. Isn't that amazing stuff? Ireland.
That is interesting. I wonder what the catalyst is. What is Laura doing for you there, Jim?
I don't know. And then the Netherlands too. The Netherlands over there. Steven Dwerik, one of our other athletes up in the Netherlands, that went up to number 8. So these 2 countries, just massive gainers in the last week.
Is there a race coming up in Ireland in June? Like, don't they do one of the 70.3s there? Maybe people are like starting to be like, I got to get prepared. Got to get ready for that cold water ocean swim.
I don't know, but we need to do a remote segment from Ireland. Maybe we'll get Laura on here, and she'll find a nice pub that we can go do a live podcast from over there. I'm game. We'll take the Tower 26 private jet. But this show, guys, the secret weapon, the triathlon swimming, we're going to talk about StretchCordz. Have we ever had a show about StretchCordz? I know we've talked about them in the past, but we've never had a show where we focused on StretchCordz.
We haven't, and I'm glad you decided to do this.
So here's the deal. This year, I started making sure our athletes, and Emily started making sure our athletes and our coaches, at least once a week, we do a live workout on Mondays. If they can't join the live workout, they do that workout via YouTube sometime during the week. And being diligent to just that one day a week, we're seeing, I mean, massive gains in their 100 times, massive gains in what these athletes are doing when they go to the water. And I mean, it's like I said, they could be swimming 3-4 days a week. Now we have this little different factor in there, and that's allowing them to, for some reasons we'll get into it, to make these gains. Gerry, the StretchCordz is something you've worked into the plan. I mean, from day one, it's something you should be doing every single session. What was your thinking behind that?
Well, it's again, don't complicate much, right? It's specific muscular endurance. I mean, when you think about it, you can go to the gym. You have no swim background, which is the case of many triathletes. You've played stick and ball sports, you've done other activities, but most folks haven't swum very much. And when you think about the muscles that are engaged for triathlon swimming, and the pattern that we have to execute during swimming, where the elbow is slightly elevated above the wrist, and that movement itself, that is not something we do in everyday life. So if you did a triathlon, you're running, well, we walk all day long. We've run as kids growing up, and so on. We've all ridden bicycles, so we have muscular movements that were patterned for running and biking, but we don't have for swimming. So those muscles don't have the specific endurance, to have fruitful returns.
And that's where I'm going with it too. And in my thinking, it builds that muscular endurance, but also, like you're saying, you can focus on exactly how you're moving every single stroke without the distraction of the water. Because as we know, when you're running, when you're riding, you're on terra firma, and you don't have that medium that you're not used to. When you jump in the water, all of a sudden you got to worry about floating, you got to worry about surviving, and your stroke might fall out the window. We're focusing on how you're moving every single stroke on dry land with it. So then when you get to the water, you know exactly how that should feel as you apply the force and you add that foreign medium, which is the water.
Right. To your point, remember that word that we used in a few shows back, way back when, proprioception, that sort of feel, that awareness in space as to where your arm, hand needs to be relative to your body and so on. Lots of practice on that through StretchCordz and going through the proper pattern movement of the swim stroke.
And the thing is, I watch, so we do these, like I said, we do these live at 6 a.m. on Mondays. And I watch the athletes that are doing this. And no matter how much, the whole way through, I'm talking them through how they should be executing every single stroke, what they should be focusing on. No matter how many times I say the same thing, I'm watching, and many of them are still dropping their elbow. They're shortening their stroke. They're not keeping that armpit open as they come through. And I think being able to see yourself, you can watch yourself either with your iPhone or or do it in front of a mirror. And that's another thing. You can see, hey, I know Jim says my elbow's up. I feel like my elbow's up, but I'm watching myself and I see that elbow drop every single time I pull, because I'm watching. I have these different cues I use, and I'm watching and I see that elbow drop and I say, I know she's hearing me. She just thinks she's doing it one way and is not doing it the correct way.
Well, Jim, before some folks drop off, let's mention, because they might say, hey, you know what? I've seen enough of those StretchCordz videos or Vasa videos or whatever it may be, and they might think they don't need to listen or watch this live stream, or which we recorded also. You've changed up a few things and added some steps in between. So
Exactly.
if you guys out there that are listening and are watching, don't leave, because this is new, and I think very helpful what you've done in the last several months.
So what we've done is we've broken up into, let's say, 4 segments. I know we typically use the propulsion, the setup and the propulsion, but we've broken it down to 4 separate segments that we focus on each and every. Hey, should I go to the other camera and show you guys? Here, you can
Let's do it.
Hang on, let's do this.
I mean, you are you're hammed up here. You're ready.
This is
fired
new
up.
age.
I like
This is like new age production. So this we got this other camera over here, and we have to talk it through because there's gonna be a lot of people on audio doing this. We have to make sure we're speaking through, so people at home who are listening to this on the audio version could be doing it in their car, or, in front of their wife or whatever, and look like total weirdos. So what I always do is we break it into 4 segments. The stroke. We break it into the entry or the extension at the front. We break it into the setup, the propulsion, and the finish. Right? So 4 segments that you have to focus on. The first segment, Gerry, where do your fingertips want to be as you enter the water?
Well, as you enter the water, obviously your fingertips are extending forward, but then you quickly get that arm into that position of the, of the right. So
right,
down.
Fingertips in that downward, in that
Yep.
digging down position, right? So a lot of you guys enter the water and your fingertips are too high. And when your fingertips are too high, we don't have that type of flexibility. The elbows drop, right? And a lot of times,
Hey, Jim, can you get closer to your mic, or your mic is slightly closer to you?
Can you hear me?
Okay, good. Yes, a little better.
Is that better, Emily?
Yes, that sounds great.
We want to enter at a downward angle with those fingertips, so our wrist is already in that below the elbow position, right? And then we also want to have a wide entry too. So I always focus with these guys, don't keep the hands too close as you enter, as you start your StretchCordz stroke. Your hands have to be in kind of a wide position. That's
slightly wide or shoulder width at least, right?
At least, exactly, because you don't want to go too narrow, because that's going to cause a crossover your stroke. It's going to force you to come out and then come back in. So if you're already entering in that shoulder to slightly wider position, you're going to be in that good position to get into that setup right away. So the first position is fingertips down, arms extended, shoulder or slightly wider than your shoulders. The second position is externally rotate your elbows and open up your armpit. What do we call that one, Emily? It's a setup, right? Gerry, what happens in the setup?
Well, you got the setup. You like to call that diamond shape, I believe, and that was a word I think we got from Brenton. I think it was an interesting word that he used. But you've got that setup, fingertips pointing to the bottom, and elbows above your wrist, right? And you want a straight line from your elbow to your fingertip.
And the problem with a lot of people in the setup is this is where they drop that elbow, and it's like they're opening a door. You want to externally rotate your elbows and let them face either wall on either side of you as if they're pointing sideways. And that's going to help you keep that elbow up. You don't want to act like you're opening a door and bring that back and then bring the elbow up halfway through the stroke. As you set up, you want to externally rotate your elbows and open up those armpits. So that's the second part of the stroke, the extension into the setup. The third part of the stroke is for our propulsion. Your elbows are up, your armpits are open, and you accelerate through the stroke, right? So from that end position where those hands are facing backwards in the setup, this is where you're starting the propulsive phase of the stroke, accelerating through the stroke. This is where that speed and power is placed on the water and allows you to move faster as you increase effort. Gerry?
It's good. Very good. Fingertips always pointing downward, like you talked about.
And then the last phase is the one that everybody loves the most. It's the finish of the stroke. So we just focus on hips back, hands flat, and you're just extending your tricep and pressing that water through the end of the stroke.
Yeah, those are tricep extensions, Jim, and they're going to burn. It's a tiny movement. You'll feel it. And the key thing to what you're doing there is your fingertips are still pointing to the ground. For those of you guys who are looking at this at home or doing this with Jim, make sure your fingertips are still pointing towards the ground that you're standing on and not pointing backwards to the wall behind you. Yes, there you go. That's what we don't want. That's an exact not do, the circle with the slash through it. Do not do that.
If you're doing that, all that water that you use in that propulsive phase, it's being lost and it's being pressed up. You want to take the water and press it straight back. And a lot of triathletes, especially who are used to quick turnover with their running, they want to skip that end phase of the stroke so they can get back to the start phase. All this water that you're pulling through is doing nothing for you if you forget about that last press through the hips. So what we've been doing is we've been breaking it down into 20, 30-second segments where you're starting your extension position and you're just going into the setup. For 20 seconds, you're just focusing on that setup in the front end. After 20 seconds, you start at the end position of the setup and you just propel through the stroke for 20 seconds. And then after 20 seconds, you go right to the end of the stroke and you press through those triceps flat hand for 20 seconds. And then you add it all together. Set up, propel through, finish. Set up, propel through, finish. And like I said, if you have a mirror that you can look at while you're doing this, making sure you're keeping the elbows up, the armpits open, you're finishing your stroke, that'd be that much more beneficial. Now, a few things that we talk about is in the setup, there's no propulsion. If you're putting propulsion, if you're putting a bunch of power into the stroke at the setup, you're going to go up, right? We don't want you to go vertically. We want you to move forward the back. So we're just getting you into the position, the hand position, to apply force. The second thing, when you can.
And Jim, before you go to that second thing, let's tell listeners that the word setup, we've changed it, or that's the word that we use because I think it has more meaning, more understanding, as opposed to the word catch. That's the word that swimming uses, the catch. Well, catch to me means just that, catching a ball, right? It has no translation into swimming. What does that mean, especially for a non-swimmer? So the setup is just what it is. You're setting up the beginning portion of the stroke to get your hand and your arm into the right position to be able to generate propulsion.
Yeah, you do not want any propulsion in that setup because the more you go up, the less you move forward. So you just want to get it right there. Once your hand's facing backwards, that's when you put that propulsion in the water. And a good way to think about keeping the elbow up, and Coach Jack gave us this idea, is think about a stability ball. You're pressing that stability ball against your chest as you pull the water through, right? So elbows up, stability ball against the chest, and then you come through, keeping that elbow up. If you're thinking about that, you're going to be forced to keep the elbows up. You're not going to let them drop. And then, like we said, the tricep extension at the end is just feeling that tricep burn and making sure you're feeling that water press that flat hand, or that flat hand press that water back as you come through the stroke.
Yeah, and to your point, Jim, the key thing again is keeping Emily, as you know, keeping those elbows away from your body. Don't let them collapse inwards towards you. Keep them up and out. So when you're doing this exercise, if in a regular shaped, say a rectangular room, your elbows are pointing to the walls at the sides, right? While you're swimming, same thing. Your elbows are pointing to the walls, the side walls, the parallel walls of the pool.
Well, yeah, it's just too common for, you think you're doing it one way, but until you actually see yourself doing it, are you really keeping that elbow up? Are you really finishing your stroke? So do it in front of a mirror. Do it in front of an iPad. Put on Zoom and just have a meeting with yourself and watch yourself do it. Emily, cut you off. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say with the stability ball, that was the same kind of thing. I remember when I learned kind of how to swim and they would talk about technique, it was rolling over the barrel, which is kind of the same thing. Like you have to keep that armpit open. And I think that type of nomenclature can kind of resonate with people. That armpit open can really help in kind of visualizing what you want to do. And then talking about that tricep press at the back, that pushing that water back and that acceleration at the end of the stroke, that's what's going to help bring your arm around for your recovery with a lot of power and speed. So that's a really good thing. It's like when you drive your heel down on your pedal stroke and then your knee pops up, you don't have to yank your knee up because it has momentum. So that last tricep press gives you that momentum for that relaxed recovery and that speed in the turnover.
Jim, let's clarify a little something for our listeners, that in these steps that you broke down, there are really 3 steps. There's the setup, and then you had your arms up front, and then you went to the setup, and then you went to a propulsive phase, and then you just added on the end portion of the propulsive phase, right, for the tricep. Now, when we swim, it's not quite that mechanical. You don't actually finish with your arm completely extended and locked down with you start releasing right towards the end before the exit. There's a little bit of release of power, so the hand can come out and be a little more finessed. Otherwise, this will look extremely clunky and mechanical. But while we practice it on land, like you were demonstrating, that's how you have to do it, to make sure all those muscles are engaged along the 3 or 4 steps that you went through.
Yeah, if we overdo it, we get the feel for doing it here at the StretchCordz. Once you go to the water and you just, like you said, you flow and you get in that rhythm. It's not you're not stopping. It's a good smooth rhythm, but you want to make sure you're finishing the stroke. I just see so many people they're like, cats scratching a pad or a hamster on a wheel. They're just 25 strokes, 30 strokes per length. If we can feel it and jet that water back every stroke, it's like a jet boat. You're using the water to move you forward.
And to your point, we had, I think, Charlotte, who has swum in a few of your workouts, I believe, with the British accent. Mm-hmm. And this morning, 30 strokes a length in workout. Now, she's beginner, right? And I pulled her out. We chatted for a bit. We went through some of the specific things you're talking about, gave her 2 key cues to think about. Guess what? 23 strokes.
Yeah,
that's 7 strokes. That's a 20% improvement, right?
She's probably moving much faster as well. I mean, I'm not.
She was. She was like a little kid beaming. It was good to see.
Yeah. So, but one thing you got to. So at the swimmall.com, they have these, and I think they're $40 on sale right now, $10 off. So I just checked it out right before coming on. So that's nice because they're usually around 40 or 50, $55. Swimmall.com has them for $40, and there's different levels. You don't want to be over aggressive with this. I'd rather you guys err on the side of being conservative and use a level stretch cord that might be a little under your strength. So there's silver. We usually recommend yellow for most of our athletes. That's the second level up, but I've been downgrading a lot of athletes. If they can't get into the right position and they're forcing it and they're just not strong enough to use the yellow, I move them down to the silver. I make them go by the silver. So
we have a one with less tension, silver. I wasn't aware of that.
Yeah, silver is the lowest amount of tension. Then there's yellow. Okay. Then there's green. Then there's red, then there's blue. Black. So we don't want to worry about blue. We don't want to worry about red. I recently just upgraded to green because I've been doing so many stretch cords, and I'm fine with that. But I would never really recommend, unless the coach sees you and make sure you're doing it right, to go anything above a yellow. And for most people just starting out, a silver is going to be sufficient for them, because the biggest thing is doing it correctly and getting that movement pattern down. So when you go to the medium of the water, you know exactly how you should be moving.
And let's not, we don't want to discourage folks, by the way. We have many of our followers and listeners and athletes who have Vasa machines, right? Rob, the owner of Vasa. This is to be done in addition to your Vasa. And the reason you also want to do these, you don't stop doing your Vasa training. There's great value to that. And in fact, you have the ability to get some data feedback on those machines. But you can't take your Vasa with you to your race, right? And use it as part of your warm-up. So that's why you want to build these cords in. And because this way you can also take them to your event, and you should, and use them as part of your warm-up protocols.
And then once you get more comfortable, you can, like I said, you can join our group workouts, but I do, one arm at a time. I do alternating arms. There's a bunch of different things you can do to help you focus on timing or, resiliency on that specific arm. Because if you're doing left arm for 90 seconds, a minute in, you're going to start to get ugly, and you start to realize, hey, my elbow's dropping. I'm not finishing my stroke. My arm's coming in. I'm not in that good, nice, wide position as I enter the water. So you'll notice all these things as you start to fatigue. So that's where it's nice to change things up, do some one arm, do some, like I said, alternating. That's going to help you with your timing. So a lot of different things you can do with it, but the main thing is just to get that movement pattern down. So we go to the water, you can really apply it.
So your key takeaways here are to execute StretchCordz as part of your training. This doesn't have to take more than how long? 10 minutes, 2 or 3 times a week.
If that,
you can also.
I mean, if you just want to start out, you just want to get into it, do a couple, 3 by 30, 2 days a week, and just get into it. Just try it out.
so you learn to execute the proper pattern. And you talked about something very interesting, that especially through COVID, we've all gotten familiar with using either Zooms like we're doing right now, and so you can get immediate feedback. So turn on either your Zoom or get a mirror, because you want to see, or video yourself, you want to see what you're doing, so you can get your instantaneous feedback.
Exactly. Emily, what do you got?
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I mean, we use, when I swam in college, we would do StretchCordz 3 days a week. It was our part of our dryland training. And it really, my swim coach used to say, you don't walk around on your hands. So you got to build that endurance, especially if you're a newer swimmer. You might have strength in your arms, but you don't have endurance specific strength that you need for swimming. And this will help build. And it's great to have them, as Gerry said, like, this is what you take in your transition bag for warm up. Some races you can't get in the water before you swim. So this is a great way to get your arms warmed up. And
I'm sure you did these also. I would presume you guys also did these in pool, right? Where you would tether to the blocks and swim stationary. Yep.
That was always fun. Yep. But, we would do the power racks and stuff, which is kind of the same thing.
So as you guys start using StretchCordz and start working in your routine, why don't you give us some feedback? Write us contact@tower26.com. Go on our Instagram, our Tower26 Instagram, write us there. Go on our Twitter, write us there. Give us some feedback on what you're seeing.
I got a little idea for you, Jim. Why don't we ask a few folks, if this is okay with you? You let me know, because you'll be the one receiving this. Well, actually, it'll come to Tim and then it'll go to you. But maybe we ask a few people to send in their self video, so we can take a look and then give some quick little feedback in another episode where we can actually show it. And because as we review episodes, as we start off a new episode, we review the prior episode. In the review, we can take a few minutes to show somebody and give some quick feedback.
I like this. You know what they can do? How about they message me on Facebook their video? If you're interested in doing this, message me your video on Facebook. Go to Facebook Messenger, just send me the video of your StretchCordz, then the next episode will break you down. How's that sound? All right, we'll look at it, we'll say, hey, this is what this guy's doing right, this is what they're doing wrong.
What camera angles do you wish?
Just from the side. Just give me something from the side.
From the side, nothing from the front.
Nothing from the front. We can tell everything from the side. I'm not looking for too in-depth. Just have a friend take a video from the side. Let's see what you're doing with those StretchCordz. Send it to my Facebook Messenger, and we'll get you on the air and you'll be world famous. Because we are listened to in the Netherlands and Ireland and how many other countries? Like 175 other countries. So amazing stuff. Yeah. Exciting.
Sure, you finish off at the end of your stroke. So you have that. Jim, you got into this whole end of stroke thing because you wanted that little V, and a little V in the tricep, right? That look, yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
It's not there right now. I'm a little waterlogged from all these all these late night baby snacking. This guy can eat though. Holy cow. I think he ate for an hour and a half the other day. He's like attached to Megan. It's good stuff.
Poor wife. She's got to be so tired.
So we're going to get the work out of the episode in a second. That's some really good info on those StretchCordz. Guys, write us, contact@tower26.com with your questions, or give us your results. If you don't want to send us a video, give us your results, what you're seeing week over week over week when you go to the pool and apply that StretchCordz stuff. But before we get to the workout of the episode, let's talk about the Santa Barbara Triathlon. It's happening again August 27th and 28th at East Beach at the Cabrillo Pavilion in Santa Barbara. Beautiful Santa Barbara, California. Gerry, are you familiar with Santa Barbara at all?
Know how familiar I am lately.
So
living
August
here,
27th and 28th, Gerry's home turf with yours truly as the race announcer. With the long course race, the individual long course, the youth race, the relay teams, the aqua bike, all happening on Saturday. Sunday, we're coming back at you with the short course race, women only, the parent and child race, the duathlon. So everybody can take part. Bring the family out. You can race on Saturday. You can race on Sunday. You can race both days. We can have a big fun event, and it's in the beautiful, beautiful environment of Santa Barbara. Gerry, go ahead.
I can't wait till Maddie and Mason have grown up a bit to see you, daddy and daughter, daddy and son doing a little relay.
I think Madeline might be ready to do it this year, but unfortunately, or fortunately, Dad is going to be on the 1s and 2s, and I'm not going to be able to race. But she's going to hear these buttery tones every step of the way. Maybe I'll just have her do like a kid's fun run or something. So go to SantaBarbaraTriathlon.com, sign up now, and we will see you out there. All of our crew here, all of our podcast crew will be out there. We'll be having some fun, and we're going to bring Emily down Maybe I'll even get her on the mic too to announce some people across the line, and we'll have some fun. So go to SantaBarbaraTriathlon.com and sign up now, August 27th and 28th. So the workout of the episode, remember guys, go to coaching.tower26.com, not to see this workout of the episode, but see a typical workout of the episode. This workout of the episode, I'm going to give you guys one typical workout that we do on a Monday morning that we give to the rest of our athletes the rest of the week via YouTube that we do on the StretchCordz. Are you okay with this, Gerry, losing this time on the mic?
I like it. I'd like that you've taken control of this. This is good.
Yeah.
Now,
so
do you want to invite anyone into your next Monday workout? Is that something you would?
If you follow and I forget, I know I ask you this probably 15 times a week. I don't know which one is public, which Facebook account is public, the page or the group? We have a public and a private.
The page is public. The
Okay,
group is private.
This coming Monday, I will post the Zoom link. So I'll post it on the bigger page. The page is public. Why can't I remember?
Page is public.
Page is public. PP.
Sleep deprived. All right, Emily, that's why you're here to do the thinking. So I'll put it on the page. I'll put the Zoom link. So 6 a.m. I need someone there to monitor it though, to make sure no rival coaching groups come in and start to sabotage our workout. But I will put it on the page so anyone can join 6 a.m. Pacific time, and then I'll put up maybe I'll put up the YouTube link. I got to think behind that one. I want more people to come on live. 6 a.m. Pacific time. Join us live with your StretchCordz. I'll lead you through it. I call it the StretchCordz core and mobility session because we go through all three of them. So a typical workout, I throw a little more in there, but a typical workout is the one that we'll go over here. So as we said, I warm up everybody with those 20 seconds in each segment to warm up. So I go 20 seconds in the setup, 20 seconds in the propulsion, 20 seconds in the finish. Really easy, low intensity. It's just getting that movement pattern down. And then 20 seconds, that full stroke. So it's set up, propel, finish, you put it all together. So each rep is, let's see, a minute and 20, but you're breaking it down in the segments. Set up for 20, propel for 20, finish for 20, and then you come through the whole stroke for 20. So you do that 3 times through, and in between each of those, we go into a core exercise where you're working something that stabilizes the core, whether it's plank, side plank, bridges, things that work that intrinsic core that we really use in our swimming that helps us keep that posture and that tautness that we talk about all the time. So we do break it down the segments, core, break it down the segments, core, break it down the segments, core. Then we take a little break, get some water, and we talk about what's coming up next. So for example, main set, we might do some one arm drills in between the two, but we'll get right into the main set and kind of talk about what a main set looks like. Depending on your level, if you're doing this at home, if it was on my live event, we'd all do the same number. We do about 8 by a minute and a half to a minute and 45, right? But the way we would do it is we build effort. 1, we'd be totally easy, 60-65%. Number 2, we
Hold on, Jim.
Yes.
What is 8 by, you're doing 8 rounds or
8 rounds of
okay.
a minute and a half, let's say 90 seconds, 8 rounds by 90 seconds. So 90 seconds seems like a long time, but the way we do it, it makes it a little more manageable. So we build effort each one. So the first one's super easy. All you're doing is thinking about the stroke. Between each one, we go back to do 30-second core exercise. Same thing, like a stability exercise, like a plank or a bridge, or maybe we do some leg lifts or some scissor kicks, something that's swimming specific core work that's going to help us keep, like I said, that tautness. So the second one, we build effort slightly, 65-70%. The third one, 70-75%. By the fourth one, we're about 75-80%, and we hold that through 8. So we do 8 by 90 seconds, which seems like a long time, but the way we're doing them is we're alternating, right? Instead of just cranking out 2 at the same time, we alternate left arm, right arm, left arm, right arm. So what that does is it helps us focus on that one arm, not lose focus by putting both together, but also helps us with the timing because you're not pulling that lead arm until the other arm gets into that, I know, Gerry, we don't like to say this, into that front quadrant.
Right, but you also give a little time for recovery with one arm at a time as opposed to double arm, right?
Exactly. If you're doing double arm for 90 seconds, your lats should be falling off by the end of 90 seconds. So you're getting that little recovery, but you're making sure that lead arm, as you pull with that opposite arm, it's not moving over, crossing the center line. It's staying nice and stable in that position, in that entry position. You pull through, and then as that pulling arm comes back to the front, you don't pull that other arm until the opposite arm gets into the front, right? So we don't like to say the word catch up, but it's kind of like a catch up stroke, just to help you think about that front quadrant of the stroke. Whereas Emily, you're on deck all the time. You see it. Gerry?
So you have the two arms are extended out front with parallel arms extended straight out in front of you, not crossing over, but fully extended.
Right.
And one arm just sits there, executing the power phase. Right.
Yeah, you just broke
so
up.
they're parallel to each other. That's key. Sorry.
They're parallel.
So they're parallel.
Yeah, the arm sits out there while the opposite one pulls. Go ahead, Emily.
I was just going to say, when you say that you make it easier, you start at 70%. How do you meter that? Like, do you step forward more so your stretch cords aren't quite as taut? Do you not do it as quickly? How do you?
Yeah, you just don't do it. You don't do it as quickly, and just like in the pool, you just don't put as much force into that propulsion. You know, it's not about how fast you're moving your arms; you're just lessening the force you're putting into the propulsion.
Okay.
And between each one, we do a core exercise. We do that, let's say 8 times through, take a little break, and we finish the workout with 3 by 30 seconds, big power, both arms at the same time, where you're really getting up above 90% effort. You're really cranking it out, but you're keeping the stroke together as you increase that intensity. In between each one, we do a core or a mobility exercise. Maybe we do some wall angels or do some of those great shoulder, upper back mobility exercises that Kathleen O'Neill gave us on our 2 p.m. call last week on our Tower 26 2 p.m. call. So you can work in some shoulder mobility exercises between each as your break between each set. So that would be a typical workout where you're working through you're working the technique, you're working the different effort ranges, and you're finishing strong with some big power efforts.
That's awesome. Love it.
Yeah, got it. I think we might have lost Gerry.
Oh, well.
I think he's out. He just dropped off. So
we don't need him.
coaching.tower26.com for all of the subscription plan workouts, which Emily is in charge of. Also, if you want to be included in the triathlon training, Gerry, you're back. We lost you for a little bit.
Yeah, sorry about that.
Included in the triathlon training program, where this is also worked in every week, as well as all your biking and running workouts. Go to training.tower26.com. So we have our question.
So Jim, I have a quick question for you as we go into the question segment. Are you giving any feedback? So when folks are in, how does that work?
Good question. Yeah. So I'm doing the workout. I'm executing every
demonstrating,
every
right?
set. I'm executing to show people, what I'm doing. They can look at the screen and see me doing it. But as I'm doing it, I'm looking it up and I'm saying, hey, Len, your elbow's dropping. Hey, Dan, you're not accelerating through your stroke. Susan, put your head, look straight down. Why are you looking up? Look straight down at the ground. So I'm giving those feedback cues, not too much. I'm not just sitting there on Susan saying, Susan, do this, Susan, do that, Susan, do this, Susan, do that. But occasionally I'll keep somebody on afterwards. I'll say, hey, Len, I want you to stay here. And then I'll talk to them afterwards more about what I've been seeing. But yeah, I'm giving some brief technique shout outs saying, hey, Len, get those fingertips down. Or, I'm just picking on Len right now because he's Canadian. But yeah, so brief feedback on what I'm seeing and just what I'm glancing at. And it's pretty cool to see, you got 20 people on the screen, and you see if something's really going wrong, you see that elbow dropping, you can give them that quick shout out. And some people just don't get it. I mean, we have an elbow, and elbow's a joint. And like Meacham Brody of Human Vortex Training, who we're going to try and get on the show, he's an amazing endurance strength coach. He says joint position dictates muscle function, right? So if your elbow's dropping, the wrong muscles are kicking in. If that elbow stays up, you're keeping those lats engaged, you're finishing your stroke, your elbow's extending, you're engaging this triceps. A lot of people just don't understand, like, you got to move the joint. That elbow has to move out. It has to stay up. If it's dropping, the wrong muscles are being engaged. But a lot of people don't realize this is a joint. You got to move the elbow. The shoulder moves. It's not just one big unit coming through. The elbow is necessary in the setup, and then you drive through using the lat because that elbow stays up.
Very good. Excellent.
So contact at tower26.com. You guys any questions? Let's get into that. Gerry, I think this one's from you, for you. Emily, you can chime in. Thanks for the invitation to give an update. Alex writes this. And like I said, I don't remember yesterday. I'm so sleep deprived, but we must have asked him to give an update. I found the training program to be highly valuable. This is the most swimming volume I've ever done before. That alone makes a big difference. I have already set and broken my PRs for the 100s. I've started to appreciate the different gears of pacing. I think the videos are very helpful and would encourage you to consider expanding the video collection further to include different angles and techniques, as well as common problems. For example, you might have a particular place where athletes could find videos focused on breathing and another focused on kicking. Videos with commentary on improper technique with explanations as to why it is improper are so helpful. Hey, I got a baby. I cannot be doing any more work, any more videos. Emily, do this. Take care of this for Alex. Gerry,
I'll give it a go. I'll give it a go. I think it's that's some really helpful feedback and might be valuable to some people, like seeing what's wrong and then how to fix it is a good tool.
Well, let's ask the godfather of coaching.tower26.com. What's your thoughts?
Yeah, well, Alex, thanks for the comment and the suggestion. So we went through this in the beginning, Jim, 5 years ago when we started this, I believe, as to how to categorize our videos and so on. And there were reasons why we did it, how we did. Let me think through this and see if we can do what Alex is suggesting. But I like the idea of a few different angles, which we do have, especially Alex hasn't seen our open water videos yet, where we show sighting from the front, sighting from the side, and so on. So we do have some of those available, Alex, and those will be coming up in the beginning of this next phase as we go through our skill building phase and our race ready phase.
All right, I love the ideas. That's the kind of stuff. That kind of feedback gets the motor running. Gets the mind, it gets that mind muscle working, and it's how we keep improving on the product. So thanks a lot for that, Alex. So Dave Letourette, who is a world famous race director, race announcer up in Northern California. Whenever there's a Vineman or a Santa Rosa or Ironman Santa Rosa 7.3, this guy was in charge of it, right? So really good guy, amazing coach. He writes to my Twitter account at Jim Lubinsky and at Tower26. He writes, after our last episode, he said, "What is Norwegian style training? ? You mean intelligent training? Hope you're well, buddy." So Gerry, obviously Dave didn't listen to our podcast before he wrote this comment, because you said the exact same thing regarding our last podcast.
Well, did he listen, or was he just poking
I don't think
jabs
he
at
listened,
you?
because that's exactly the same thing you said. So I told Dave, go listen to the episode, for Christ's sake.
And I think to Dave's point, and Emily, you talked about this also, it's whenever we can go through gym every 4 years or 8 years, 12 years, whatever, every time Olympics come around and some athlete has ascended to the top, we start looking at their mechanics, we start looking at their training protocols and think that's the new way to do things. And right now the Norwegians are on top, and they're winning across the board at all the distances. So they've earned the right for the spotlight. But is it really different? Well, what we found out, I believe, right, Emily, is that maybe a whole bunch of the testing that they're doing during the workout, but the workout itself and the mechanics of the workout, much of it is not too different. And the key element being there's a whole lot of presence, a whole lot of definitive focus in what you're doing. There is no time for effing around. And I mean, you're totally engaged. So I think they've dialed in. And so to Dave, was it you said, Jim, that sent this note in? Yeah. Are there any new secrets? I'm not sure they're new secrets. They're just, we're just taking the old stuff, packaging it up a little bit differently, adding actually a few nuances that I think they've done well with perhaps more testing that many of the amateur triathletes may not have access to like these professionals do. But at the end of the day, it's the big C, right? Consistency, and the big P, presence.
Yeah, I agree. And like, I think like, and Christian even said it, like he won the gold medal and that's like great, but he didn't take a bunch of time off. It was on to the next. Like, I got to continue progressing. I have these other goals. Like, I don't like, and I'm not saying partying is bad, but he's like, I don't like to party. I like to train. This is what I love and I love doing. And I think he really loves the process of training, and I think he's really engaged in it. And I think he trusts who he's working with, and he listens to them, and he's like, okay, if I'm supposed to back off a little bit, I'm going to back off, and I don't need to be a hero in every workout. It's about being a hero over the months and the years. And that's what's going to make you really good. And I think that's what they're doing right. I mean, he said what did he say in 2010? He said he wanted to win an Olympic medal in 2020. Like, that's that's a long time, like there's going to be a lot of improvement, and that's a lot of work before you get to actually try to get your goal. Like that's real training, I think.
That's right. That is right. All right, we're going to end it there. Contact at tower26.com. Write us at Jim Lubinsky at tower_26 on Instagram, Facebook. You can find us anywhere. Just keep writing in those questions. Keep writing in those comments. I love it. I love the banter. And after the last episode, we had a ton of noise. So keep that coming, guys. Anything else from you, Gerry?
Well, Jim, so you got to figure many of our listeners are listening to these on podcast. How do they get how do we view this?
Great point, Rodriguez. You can go to our Facebook page and you can replay it there, our Tower 26 Facebook page, or go to subscribe to us on YouTube. We have God knows how many subscribers over there. And this is going to be posted on our YouTube channel, Tower 26 YouTube channel, within the next hour. So you can find it there as well.
This is definitely an episode you want to view rather than just listen to.
No matter how much I paint pictures with my words, you want to see it, right? Especially the fact that I was doing this all with my shirt off. If they're listening on audio, they don't know. They don't know that my shirt. I was doing it with my shirt off. So you got to go and check it out on YouTube or Facebook.
Yeah,
good
no
point.
comment from
that up. That was a great one. Remember, go to swimmall.com and you can find those StretchCordz. They're on sale right now. So get them now and you never have to think about it again until you got to level up. Anything else, Jer?
TheSwimMall.com.
TheSwimMall.com. Okay, I guess that's all you had is that's it. Emily, you got anything else?
I'm going to work on toy boat.
Toy boat. All right, guys.
All about the tea.
Content-rich episode. I have no idea. I'm going to get Brody in here to talk about strength training eventually, but we will be on weekly, or my name isn't Mason Lubinsky. And we're going to keep coming at you. We're going to keep coming at you hot. So keep subscribing. Keep telling your friends. A lot of good info here. Gerry, Emily, Megan, thanks for joining us. For Gerry Rodriguez, Emily Cox, Milgard, this is Jim Lubinsky, the Tower 26 B Race Podcast.